Just when I come to practice, just everything happens pretty fast. So the adjustment part comes along, obviously.
Down 21. Sophie injured. Season on the line. Then Kelsey Mitchell happened. They were buried, down by 21. They had just lost another teammate to injury. Their season already felt like it had been ripped apart, piece by piece. And then, Kelsey Mitchell happened. The shocking turnaround at halftime. Mitchell had just 4 points on 0 for 7 shooting. By the final buzzer, she had 34 in the second half alone, dragging Indiana back from the dead with clutch shot after clutch shot. Big play after big play, she willed us, Coach Stephanie White said, still stunned. Resilience that can't be taught. When Sophie went down, the Fever's bench looked stunned, another gut punch after losing multiple key players already this season. But instead of folding, something flipped. White got emotional describing it. They're selfless. They're tough. They don't care who gets the credit. They've got something inside of them you just can't teach. Every player, whether on the court or not, kept giving and giving. The basketball shift, the comeback, wasn't magic. It was execution. Screens set harder. Turnovers cut down. Spacing opened the floor. Defense tightened up. Brianna Turner's defense in the second half was game-changing. Odyssey Sims found her rhythm, and suddenly, Connecticut had to guard multiple actions instead of one. And then came Mitchell, torching defenders with no mercy. Aliyah Boston's take. Boston, who's been vocal about Mitchell's MVP case, put it bluntly. She plays 40 minutes, scores, defends, and consistently puts up numbers. If she's not MVP, man, then what are we even doing? Faith plus fire. Both Boston and Mitchell pointed to something bigger than basketball. Faith. Adversity. Love for the locker room. Mitchell. Seeing us go down, it fuels you. If you care about your team, you fight. That's what we did. Underdogs. Again and again, nobody would have blamed Indiana for folding this season. Injuries stacking. Adversity piling up. Expectations low. But they won't quit. Every huddle, they say the same word. Together. Boston. People expect us to fold. That's not us. The next woman stands up. The final word from the outside, it looked impossible. From the inside, it looked inevitable. The Fever are proving something shocking. It doesn't matter how many times they're knocked down. This team refuses to stay down. The cost of greatness. Pain. Sacrifice, and the Fever's unbreakable bond. They had just pulled off the impossible. The scoreboard said victory. But the sight of Sophie on the floor in agony said something else. Pain always comes first. The gut punch of Sophie's injury. Coach Stephanie White admitted it. When I saw her fall, my first thought was, holy, the way Sophie landed. The way she clutched herself. The raw pain in her face. For a moment, the game didn't matter. For a moment, it was about survival. But White, a leader forged in fire, switched instantly to problem-solving mode. How do we still win? How do we honor her effort by finishing the fight? That's the Fever's DNA. They don't just play. They survive. The staff nobody talks about behind every resilient team is a resilient staff. White didn't come to Indiana alone. She brought a family, Austin, Bree, Keith, Karima. Coaches who've lived the battles, endured the heartbreaks, and know the grind of the WNBA. We've been through every situation these players face. Injuries, setbacks, all of it, White said. I trust them wholeheartedly. Honestly, we've got 3 head coaches on our bench. That bond matters. It's why the Fever don't unravel when chaos hits. They've built a foundation that can't be shaken. MVP? It's more than numbers. Aliyah Boston didn't hesitate when asked about Kelsey Mitchell. If she's not MVP, then MVP is broken. Think about it. 40 minutes per night. Guarding. Leading. Carrying the offensive load. Doing it all while teams scheme everything to stop her. Yet, when her team needed her the most, she scored 34 in a single half. That's not just stats. That's leadership. That's survival. That's MVP. The power of faith and fire. This isn't just basketball. It's bigger. Mitchell said it best. It was God. It was resilience. It was loving your teammates and refusing to quit. Boston echoed. Every day, In our huddle, we say the word, together. And it's not just words. It's who we are. Most teams fracture under pressure. Indiana? They've welded themselves together in fire. The emotional toll the Fever should be broken by now. Ari out. Sit out. Erica out. Cece out. Now Sophie. It's enough to crush any locker room. But instead, every new injury fuels them. Every setback is a challenge. Every doubt thrown their way becomes gasoline for the fire. Mitchell, if you care about your locker room, you fight. And we fight for each other every single time. What this win really means the standings are tight. Every game matters. But this wasn't just a win in the column. It was proof. Proof that Indiana isn't just hanging on this season. They're building something unshakable. They showed they can beat adversity head-on. They showed their culture is unbreakable. They showed they will not fold. Ever. The road ahead the Fever now get a few days off before Minnesota. Rest. Recovery. Recalibration. They'll need it. They've been forced to reinvent themselves with every injury. And yet every time, they find a way. White summed it up. We've got enough. We always have enough. And this group just keeps proving it. The final word: this isn't just about one win. This is about identity. This is about building something eternal, even in the face of chaos. The Fever's message is clear: knock us down if you want. We'll just get back up stronger. Beyond the box score, the Fever's fight for identity. There are games you win. There are games you survive. And then there are games that define you. This was one of those nights. The anatomy of a miracle. It started ugly. Sloppy turnovers. Missed shots. Silence in the huddle. By halftime, they weren't just losing. They were unraveling. Kelsey Mitchell, 0-4-7, only 4 points. The scoreboard said it all. Down 21. The building echoed with Connecticut's momentum. Fans were already writing Indiana off. But inside the Fever locker room, something different was happening. Aliyah Boston remembered it clearly. We said chip away. We said stay resilient. That's been our story all season. They weren't panicking. They weren't surrendering. They were resetting. The turning point nobody saw, then came the blow. Sophie fell. The sound of her hitting the floor was louder than the crowd. The way she clutched her body, the pain etched on her face, it was a gut punch that sent shockwaves through the bench. Mitchell admitted later, "It felt like déjà vu. We've seen too many teammates go down this year. And it hurt. Bad." For a moment, you could almost see the season slipping away. But here's the secret of this team. Pain doesn't break them. It fuels them. They walked into the locker room at halftime not defeated, but determined. And when the second half began, they didn't just play basketball, they made a statement. Kelsey Mitchell's transformation, the player who had missed everything in the first half, became unstoppable. Shot after shot. Drive after drive. Each bucket was heavier than points on a scoreboard. It was oxygen. Mitchell poured in 34 points after halftime, the kind of performance that turns whispers into shouts. MVP. Boston said it plain. She plays 40 minutes. She scores. She defends. She leads. If she's not MVP, then the award doesn't matter. This wasn't just a star player having a hot night. This was a leader dragging her team through fire. The culture that saves them. Stephanie White couldn't hold back her emotions when asked about her team's resilience. They're selfless. They're tough. They don't care who gets the credit. They've got something you can't teach. This is why Indiana doesn't collapse under adversity. They've built something stronger than X's and O's. It's culture. It's love. It's trust. Every player, from starter to reserve, knows they matter, knows they have value, knows they're part of something bigger. That's why when the odds stack against them, they don't fracture. They tighten. The staff behind the scenes, most people never notice the assistants, the scouts, the development coaches. But White made it clear, this comeback doesn't happen without them. Austin, Bree, Keith, Karima, a staff that's been forged in the same battles as the players. White said, "I feel like I've got 3 head coaches on my bench. We've all lived this league, the injuries, the grind, the heartbreak. That's why our players trust us. We've been there. That bond matters. It's why the Fever stays steady when chaos hits. Faith, family, and fire. Ask Kelsey Mitchell how they pulled this off, and she doesn't talk about herself. She talks about faith. She talks about God. She talks about family. It was God. It was resilience. It was loving your teammates and refusing to quit. Basketball may be the stage, but the soul of this team is deeper. It's survival. It's unity. It's a belief that no matter how many times they're knocked down, they will rise again. Adversity as identity, let's be real. The Fever should be broken. Ari out. Sit out. Erica out. Cece out. And now Sophie. That's enough to sink an entire season. But instead, it's their fuel. Boston said it best. People expect us to fold. That's not us. The next woman stands up. Always. That's not just a motto. That's their DNA. The emotional high when the final buzzer sounded, the scoreboard said win. But the emotions said something more. Relief. Joy. Faith. And above all, pride. They didn't just beat Connecticut. They beat the doubt. They beat the fatigue. They beat the pain of watching another sister go down. That's why this win felt bigger than one night. It was proof. Proof that Indiana isn't just surviving the season. They're writing a story that people will remember. What comes next now? They get a rare gift. Rest. Days to recover, recalibrate, and rebuild rotations yet again. Because the road doesn't get easier. Minnesota looms. The standings are tight. Every game matters. But here's the thing. The Fever aren't afraid of hard roads anymore. They've lived it. They've survived it. They've been hardened by it. Legacy in the making. One day, people will look back at this season not as the year Indiana suffered endless injuries, but as the year Indiana discovered who they really are. A team of resilience. A team of love. A team that refuses to quit. The kind of team that inspires not just fans, but anyone who knows what it feels like to be knocked down and told to stay down. The final word: the Fever aren't supposed to be here. But here they are. Down 21? They fight back. Lose another star? They adjust. People doubt them? They prove them wrong. This isn't just basketball. This is survival. This is belief. This is the heart of Indiana. And the world is starting to notice. What fans don't see: the hidden cost of greatness. The cameras catch the highlights, the buzzer beaters, the celebrations. But they don't catch the pain, the sleepless nights, the bodies taped together just to survive one more game. And that's the true story of the Indiana Fever. The weight they carry. This isn't just basketball. Every player on this roster is carrying something invisible: the fear of being the next one to go down, the burden of playing heavy minutes night after night, the expectations of a franchise, a city, and fans who are desperate for wins. And yet, instead of crumbling, they keep stepping forward. Kelsey Mitchell didn't just score 34.5 because she was hot. She did it because she refused to let her teammates sink under the weight. Aliyah Boston doesn't just rebound and defend. She carries the spirit of the team on her back, reminding them that every huddle, every possession, every word matters. The mental side nobody talks about. Sports psychologists call it mental toughness. The Fever call it survival. Because every night, they don't just battle an opponent, they battle doubt. Doubt that creeps in when you're down 21. Doubt that screams when another teammate is lying on the floor in pain. Doubt that whispers when the standings get tight and every game feels like a playoff. But this team has mastered one thing: turning doubt into fuel. Mitchell said it best. You just tap into your team, and you just love on your team. And then great things happen. The family they've built. Stephanie White isn't just coaching a basketball team. She's leading a family. When Sophie fell, it wasn't just a player going down. It was a sister. It was a friend. It was a piece of their heartbeat. That's why White's words after the game shook with emotion. Every single person on this roster impacts winning. Whether they play a second or not, they give and give and give to this team. It's rare in sports to find a locker room where everybody matters. But that's the secret to Indiana's resilience. They all belong. The fight for recognition. Here's the truth: the Fever are still fighting for respect. The league talks about super teams. The headlines chase big markets.
But Indiana?
They've been quietly building something that can't be ignored. Mitchell's MVP case is undeniable. Boston's leadership is rising. The support